Oh, baby. What a day. What a long day. What a long day. What is up, everybody? Welcome to a unique edition of the DNVR Nuggets Podcast. We are, of course, doing this from our homes here. A big day required when a 2-hour emergency podcast, but it also required a late night Q&A.
I feel like we could have gone for 3 hours on the emergency podcast. Like, we honestly could have just kept going. But, I mean, at a certain point, you just got to cut it, you know?
Yeah. I think this is going to be cool. What we've done is, for our diehards, if you don't know, if you become a DNVR diehard, which you can become on our website, you can get access to a Discord, which is like a private chat that we hop into every now and then, but people are having conversation. And one of the perks today, people from that Discord are going to hop on and ask us some questions and just kind of converse with us a little bit. So we'll be bringing some people on to answer, because I know Nuggets Nation has a lot of questions right now. So maybe we'll provide some answers, or if nothing else, just give our opinions. But first, Wind, has anything about your perspective changed in the last 10 hours?
The thing I've been wondering the most is about the timing.
It doesn't make sense. I can't figure it out.
3 games left until the playoffs. Josh Kroenke said, in that interview with Vic, that maybe this, will provide a little jolt to the team. I could see that. I mean, best case scenario, it still feels pretty marginal. Like, the bump they could get would be pretty marginal, I think.
Yeah.
And I go back to that Pacers game, and I wonder if that was the final straw. I was actually wondering, like, if they win that game, do they wait to fire them until after the season? Or if just the 4-game losing streak and how just pathetic they looked for a lot of that Pacers game was the final straw. And then I also think back to that picture of Stan Kroenke holding the box score by the Nuggets bench. When was that? 3 weeks ago?
I mean, was that because was that when we were courtside?
It was right before we were courtside. And we've talked about this. I've never seen Stan Kroenke that close to the court in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
He's never done that. And so that perked my ears up, obviously. And I just wonder if he's been observing the team and the ownership has been looking at this team, and that Pacers game was like the final straw.
Yeah. I think that probably played a hand in it, but it is kind of funny to think that they almost beat the Timberwolves, so that one could have flipped. They punted on the Spurs game.
True.
So
True.
That's what flipped it. I just think that the vibes have been down all year, and I think that this losing streak was like, the Kroenkes, I think traditionally you could critique them for not moving quick enough. And it's funny that this one comes a little bit earlier than expected, and maybe it's their signaling of a seriousness. If you go over to the Avs, I know hockey's different, but the Kroenkes have been very aggressive with the Colorado Avalanche this year. They've made like 12 trades. They've been very aggressive. And so I do wonder if the Kroenkes are trying to turn a new leaf or be something different, or if maybe it was just that things had reached its zenith or nadir, as Vote would like to say.
And I 100% agree with that. But this was also the case 3 months ago. This team was in this similar rut. Do you remember that game in Cleveland in December when Aaron Gordon tried to call a huddle on a free throw?
Oh, yeah. Nobody came, and he was like, really? Damn.
Do you know what date that was? That was December 5th.
Man, that doesn't fit. Feels more recent for some reason to me, not further away.
That's like the first memory I could have of thinking, oh, man, maybe things are a little dysfunctional on this team. And it's just kind of stayed like that ever since.
Yeah. All right. Well, the spirit of this is we wanted to have people on so they can kind of vent their frustrations, and also kind of fun for the community that we have to kind of get to see these people. And who better to start with than going all the way down under with somebody who is already in tomorrow. Let's go ahead and bring on everybody's favorite Aussie.
I'm so jealous. He's tomorrow.
How do I get this? How do I get him on? There it is. Turns out I need Kale more than I realized. There he is. Josh Barnett from Down Under.
What's going on, guys? Josh Barnett from Down Under. What's happening?
Well, we're just dealing with the aftermath. Yeah, where were you at when this happened? Like, are you in bed?
I was asleep.
Yeah,
it was 4. You guys went live at 4:30 this morning, so I woke up to 1,000 notifications, and then realized that you guys have been live for 2 hours while I've been sleeping. So I went to bed on Tuesday night thinking, with a bit of look, I would say my hopes changed that much because I think we're all a little bit pessimistic going into the playoffs. But yeah, it's just I'm a bit like D-Line. I'm very emotionally attached to beyond just the sport and the team. Not as impartial, I think, as you journos are. Even though I work in the media myself, but the Nuggets are literally like family to me,
Yeah.
and Malone, family from afar, and it's just the personal factor with Malone getting fired is what's sad for me. I mean, he's getting a $20 million payout, so it can't be that unhappy. But it's been 10 years, and man, to think about where everything was 10 years ago, where I was, and like where you guys were, like it's a long time. So I'm very, very sentimental like that, and I feel for him on a personal level.
I think I love this perspective because at the end of the day, we can't just be rooting for laundry. You know what I mean? It's just, there's something soulless if it's just like, we don't care who's on the team, just win or this or that. And you should get attached to these guys. I think you should be attached to the coach and the players, and that it makes it more real, more tangible. So to me, I like that perspective. I think it should be that way. And Moach deserved it. He was such an interesting character. Just forget everything else. What a fascinating character arc we got to watch of him.
Dude, and he embraced Denver, man. I mean,
Yes.
He was one of us. You know, he was somebody who, got unrightfully fired in Sacramento and kind of bought into this whole underdog mentality that we had with this team in Denver and just became part of us. He became part of this city, and he totally embraced everything about it. And he was so real throughout it all. I mean, So much of the NBA is such bullshit, man. Like it's just all so fake. But Michael Malone was so real and so genuine all the way through.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's something I always respected about him. So, I mean, I share it too, man. The first emotion I felt was sad. Like, This is a sad day, man. It's a sad day in Nuggets history. We'll see what happens going forward, but right now it feels sad.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the reasons I love the Nuggets so much, and I think why a lot of Australians love it, is we love that underdog mentality. And I think Malone is very much an underdog mentality sort of guy, sort of thing. I think he was just perfect fit for that kind of fit in the franchise and what he's done with it. You capped it all beautifully there. But I just love the fight and the us versus them sort of mentality from him. And the next coach might be tactically better or with the X's and O's or whatever, but we'll never ever, I don't think, get a coach that is basically our guy like Malone.
Dude, most coaches are boring, to be honest. Like Billy Donovan, I keep thinking like Billy Donovan is the most boring guy ever. And it's nothing against him, but I just imagine like if he was here, it'd be so processed, like how'd the game go? Okay, all right. He just has no personality. And Malone is like every time we're gonna really feel this wind in like the coming year, early like training camp, when the pressers are all so boring.
Oh, I know.
Malone brought something to every single one. Like he was so good at it.
Yeah. He was good, man. I mean, he was just himself.
Yeah.
He's a guy from New York who had to, be this way his whole life to get to where he was at.
Yeah.
And that was the cool thing about him. So, I mean, think about like Mark Daigneault. That guy's boring as shit. He's like a robot.
Dude, I'm telling you, I can't see his smugness since D-Line pointed it out. I cannot unsee it. It's like unbelievable how loud it is now. But Josh, we're having people on to ask questions. So do you have a question, that you feel has gone unanswered?
Well, as you know, Harrison, it is the year of Jamal Murray. Hashtag the year of Jamal Murray. I had to ask just what you guys predict. It's hard to say, but what does this mean for my beloved number 27, and will he make an off-season visit to Sydney again this summer? He's hoping.
Man, I mean, in terms of like what it means for him after this season, is that what you're talking about, or like in the playoffs?
Yeah, obviously the first thing that's going through everyone's mind is what the roster is going to look like going forward. And my greatest, obviously, the Jokic. On a side note, the Jokic being photoshopping Lakers jerseys makes me hate Lakers fans more, dude. Even though I don't know if that was possible. But yeah, in terms of, I think everyone apart from Jokic is on the table, depending on who comes in to run the show.
Yeah.
So will basically this playoffs be do or die for Jamal?
I mean, I think these playoffs will definitely have a big bearing on his future, no doubt.
You too.
I mean, if he plays really well, there's obviously momentum to keep him, I think, from whoever comes in. If he plays really bad, he's going to be an obvious candidate to move. The thing about whatever, GM comes in is, especially if they hire somebody from the outside, they don't have any loyalty to these guys. Their sole purpose is to win a championship next year and do what they think needs to be done. So it probably a lot depends on what he does in the playoffs, but also just whatever the new GM thinks of him and this core. And that's also the sad thing about like the news today. This core that we've all like grown with and loved and watched win a championship, it could just be gone depending on what happens. And those are some of the other emotions I felt today. But I mean, he could be on the block. Absolutely, man.
Josh, you look so sad. When your super chats come in, I just always picture you happy. I don't know how to explain it, but you have a happiness in your chatting.
Yeah, I try to mirror D-Line's. Like I said, I'm very much an Australian version of D-Line. I've just got back from the gym as well, so I'm probably a little bit sweaty, a little bit tired.
A little bit swole too,
yeah.
though, so.
that wasn't what I was aiming for there, but no, I have a little bit of resting B face as well. That's just part of my makeup. But in terms of sports, I mean, sports, again, not to blow D-Line's trumpet more, but just they're meant to be fun. So, yeah, people kind of there's so many things going on in the world that are so way more serious than sport. And, yeah, the fact that, I mean, I'll never, ever forget that my beloved Nuggets came from nowhere to win a championship. And that's something, yeah, us Nuggets fans, I guess, could only really dream of. And the arc that Jokic has gone on the last several years, like we have the best player in the world. We won a championship, and from the days of like getting excited for a Jimmy Nelson game winner, and like just going through the 1, 2, 3 Cancun and all that sort of things. It's just we've had the highest of highs, and it's just, I guess, the fall makes the fall so much harder to take. But I mean, in terms of did I shed any tears with Malone going this morning? It's not. It's more just unknown what the future holds for the team. And I'm trying to. I literally fear Jokic retiring more than I fear death. Like, it's just, I don't know how we will ever, like, how do I follow this sport, like, in this team? I will, of course, Nuggets till I die, but I mean, Jokic he's just given us so much joy, man, in the last several years, and fingers crossed, we owe him as much as anything.
Yeah, I strongly agree, man. And I think the Kroenkes, maybe this signals the belief as well, a sense of urgency. So we'll have to see. Josh, we always love when you hop on, man. We got a whole queue here. So
thank you for having me on.
Thanks for hopping on, brother. We now go to the legend himself, the one who ruined the season when his prophecy came true, and it was all downhill from there. It's, of course, our guy, 5-5-5-5-5-ish. That was the turning point. It's true. Zeke Naji got his minutes, and that was the last good moment.
Sup? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Okay.
So walk us through, man. What are your question, or just what are you thinking?
Man, I can't believe that. I was like thinking today and jokingly in the DNVR chat today that like the Nuggets can't hurt me today. They don't play a game. And then this happened.
That's actually hilarious.
Bro.
Yeah, we got hurt on our off day, man. Come on.
I know, right? Like
on our off day.
Okay, I guess my question, we kind of mind melded at a moment when you were talking before you let Josh on. I was thinking about this from the ownership perspective of the Kroenkes. So I think historically, like they've been very like hands off in their approach, and whether you agreed with it or not, like some people liked it, some people wish they were more hands on, and it just feels like this moment that transpired behind the scenes and like it was festering and then it resulting in this happening. So when we eventually start looking for a new GM and the GM searches for a new coach or stuff happens like that, do you think that do you think Josh or the Kroenkes in general do you think they have a vision of what they want the team to be, or do you think they're going to let the new GM come in and they throw their pitch, they say okay, and then they just let the GM do whatever they want again, essentially?
Great question.
What do you think, Wind?
I mean, the move that they made in the past is to hire the GM before the coach. They did that with the last GM they hired, before Calvin, they hired Tim Connolly, and then very quickly hired Brian Shaw. I don't know how much Tim Connolly was involved in hiring Brian Shaw because it happened really quick after he was hired, but they did hire the GM first. I've got to think that I think Josh knows what he's doing.
Smart guy.
Just from the conversations I've had with him, the times I've gotten to know him, I think he knows how to run a team pretty well in terms of, when to be hands-on, when to be hands-off, the right types of people to put in charge. I think they probably have a pretty good vision for the type of person that they want to put in as a GM, in terms of like their vision, how they see building this team, what types of pieces they need to have, what types of changes they need to make. And then I think a head coach is after that. But I've got to think, knowing Josh, they have a pretty good idea of what maybe Calvin was lacking, what they lost when Tim left to Minnesota, and the type of qualities they want to seek out in whoever they hire.
I think the Kroenkes are more involved in some big decision making than people think. I do think that they've had their hands in some of the bigger moves. They have their guys too that they just kind of believe in. That being said, I think the Kroenkes are going to signal something very important with how they handle the situation. Because my default position, if you ask me this, if this firing happened in 2019, I'd say, well, who's the cheapest coach and cheapest GM they can get? That's where they're going to go. And there's not a moment for that. And by the way, I think there's some wisdom to this. I think there's some wisdom to a lot of teams spend all of this extra stuff, but does it really matter? And can it actually complicate things? If you make your staffs too big, if you add too many layers, it can actually complicate things. And some of the teams that spend the most money are not the most successful. That being said, I think that's an excuse for the Kroenkes, who just prefer to kind of like skeleton crew everything. This is not the moment, man. Yoke's window is now, and there's just nothing to do. So I think they're going to have to spend on a coach. I just can't imagine they go a cheap route there. Maybe it's Adelman. I do think that there's a chance that it's Adelman and he would be a cheap option. But if it's not him, I don't imagine you can get a cheap guy. Like, even if it's a good guy, I just can't imagine you do that, because if it goes wrong, you did waste Jokic. And then with the front office, I think it's the same thing. Like they are in a new CBA and they have a very interesting salary cap sheet. They have to navigate out of this, and it's not easy. And to try to throw somebody in who's a first timer, to me, I think most GMs are bad in their first year. I just think it's hard for anybody to come in and make a big move. So I think I don't know what they're going to do, but I think whatever they do, it's going to signal. I think we'll know early on, whether it works or not. We'll know early on about how invested are they in the success of what's going on right now. How much do they really walk their talk, and that they feel they owe it to Jokic and this or that. Well, we'll see. We'll see what kind of decision making you do.
Yeah, I agree with. So like, I'm just consuming like all of the Nuggets content I can today. Like, this news literally dropped in the middle of the day. I was at work. I couldn't focus the rest of the day. I'm being dead serious. Like, I was listening to stuff. I was doing my work. I was podcasting. I was constantly checking my feeds. It's like, wow. But I like all of the threads. Like, I've been listening to everyone. I like all the threads everyone's been pulling on. And I think the one thing I pull from it all is that the deeper you tried to look into this, the more complicated and more threads there are that people even realize. And you were talking about the organizational alignment a lot with Tim Connolly and Malone. And I do think that they did align on a lot of stuff, or maybe Tim Connolly was more of the person that was, he would not cater towards Malone, but he would compromise or sacrifice maybe for
Yes.
Malone. And I think when Tim left and Booth took over, maybe the Cronkies didn't think that the visions would conflict so much to this degree. But I agree at that moment, like something shifted in the air. There wasn't the feel from that time was gone essentially.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's exactly
you're
right. I think that's exactly what's happened, and now they have to look in the mirror. I mean, like Josh Kroenke, I appreciate him coming on the show. I think he's a nice guy. Like, it's funny. Sometimes I don't know Stan. I've obviously heard some stories. Wicked smart. Maybe has his own way. But I think Josh seems like a pretty accessible guy for a billionaire's son. And a billionaire in his own right. But but he's on the clock. Like right now, he has to. I think that the championship and the post-title run was his like I'm a golden god, phase where he was feeling everything. And now it's like, no, man, you're susceptible to all of the things the rest of us are. Like your plans don't just work out either. They're hard and they require constant care and attention. And something got out of your control here, and you have to kind of fix it. Ish, great stuff, man. Thank you so much for hopping on. We're going to go to our next guy here, but we appreciate you, man, every day in the chat. Obviously a legend, and it was cool to kind of let you hop on here.
Awesome. Yep. Good night, guys.
Later.
Good night, man.
Wexy, I see you down there, but you don't have your camera on. I don't want to put anybody on the stage unless they have a camera on in case it's something crazy, right? Like, so if you turn your camera on, we'll bring you on. In the meantime, I'm going to say this is my new favorite drink. Have you guys had this Sprite Chill? Unbelievable.
I have not.
Unbelievable. All right, Wexy's not turning his camera on.
Is 55 playoff minutes still on the table? Is it more on the table now than it was
oh God,
in the Malone era?
I don't have it in me to count that down. I just don't.
We don't have any joy anymore for anything.
Let's bring on Andrew C. You are now live on the internet. Act appropriately.
What's up? I
What's
swear,
up, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
I swear I'm good.
Hey, this is a low key. This is an honor to be talking Nugget. I live in Northeast Arkansas, super small town. I'm probably the only guy in like a 100-mile radius that's like, into this. You know what I mean. I got a bunch of Grizzly. It was funny. I just kind of want to tell the story. I'm really close to Memphis. I'm like an hour and a half away. My buddy, I texted him. They fired Jenkins, of course, and I was like, "What's going on, dude?" Today. He goes, "Bro, what's going on?" I'm like, "What is happening in the NBA?" I'm like, we're both like in like the same spot. It's crazy. But the one thing that I wanted to ask y'all was like, what was the move that y'all think, like the smallest move that could have been made? Because I think this was so we're like what, 2 games out of the 3 seed, 2 more wins and we comfortably be in the 3 seed.
Yeah.
What's the move? Like, is it like Justin Holiday? Like, is he is he the difference in 2 wins? Is it the one to me that really frustrated me? And I know that y'all's guy Mark Stein was talking about Lonnie Walker was potentially on the table. I would have loved to like. I saw him drop. It made me mad the other day. He dropped 29 points, and I was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "That would have been." I just feel like that would have been super helpful. Can dribble, shoot. Like, it just seems like there was some small stuff around the margins that really could have kind of at least kept it together for a little bit longer.
What do you think, Wind?
I mean, I'm looking at the Dario Saric contract right now, and he's getting paid $5 million this year as a player option for $5.5 million next year. They signed him with like the one exception that they really had to go out and get somebody. Like that was really the one salary spot they had, like outside of minimum contracts to work with this summer. And they signed Saric, and he's unplayable. And he was unplayable from the first game of the season. Like that is such a miss. And when you're a team like Denver that is in the first apron, you don't have a ton of flexibility. Like you've got to get a contributor in that spot, in that exception. And to just not get anybody there, that's an absolute killer. So, I mean, if you look at the other guys that signed for that, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot out there that gave you more than Saric did this year. And he was also a backup center, an area where they definitely needed somebody to make sure Yoke didn't tire out throughout the season. So I look at that one and just say, like, not getting anything from him is an absolute killer this season.
Man, it's an interesting question. Like the one subtle move. I mean, the honest answer is probably KCP. And I think that the second apron, I understood it at the time. And I really do think that it was just the clarity of we want to have flexibility and we don't want to go into the luxury tax too soon. Because I think, by the way, with the Kroenkes, that's a real thing. Like, how early do you start the tax? Can you duck under it? What can you do? So I kind of saw the long-term play, but the way it's played out, even though I thought they should have done it, like to me, I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're close. Just you never know if you're going to be close in the future. So don't worry about 2 years from now. Worry about now. Sign him and bring him back. But to me, I do think it's as simple as that. And I think the real reason they didn't bring back KCP is I think they thought Christian Brown would never develop if he was here. He would never play. Peyton Watson would never play, and it would be a disaster. And maybe it would. Maybe we don't feel the same way about Christian as we do right now. But I just think if you ran this back with KCP, the chances are the Nuggets are 2 games better, and maybe you're just a little healthier at this moment, and the team feels better about it.
That's what I was – because what I was thinking was KCP maybe or not that KCP has not earned it, but I think Christian has shown that he is like worthy of the starting spot. Not that he is significantly better than KCP, but that's not a move that I would ever see Malone. And I really like Malone as a coach. I don't love that part of the moves today. Like Booth, I can understand. Malone, I'm a little more on the fence of because I just think he's really good. And like the statistical odds that you're going to get a better coach than one that's already so high up on my personal rankings is really low. But that's a move that just as a fan, I'm just very confident that KCP would have started. How many games have we played this year? 79. KCP would have started probably 75 of those, and the other 4 were just due to rest or injury. Like even in a playoff series when it was clear that KCP wasn't the guy, it was just he was still just running out there. He was still starting. He was still doing all that. So I wish the organizational alignment didn't mess this all up because I feel like I'm like the lowest qualified person, but like I can see like if y'all aren't, Booth and Malone, if y'all aren't together on this, if y'all aren't gonna like be pushing toward the same thing, it's not going to work. It is not going to work for one of you. Like everybody, not you, Booth, Malone, the whole team. Now we're all in a bad spot. Like the assistants, the rest of the front, we're all in a terrible spot now because y'all can't just like come together and just see like, there's a greater goal, there's a greater focus. If they would have met like 30% of the way, both of them had come in like 30% of the way. Are we here? I don't think so.
You want to know a fun one, and I'll ask you this win, but Andrew, I'm curious your take too. If you could have swapped at the start of the year Jamal Murray and Zeke Naji for Kobe White, Alex Caruso, and Vucevic, is the team better right now? It's basically Murray for Caruso, Kobe White, and Vooch.
They're probably about the same, I'd say.
And maybe less of an upside because it's like you don't really have a running mate now.
Wait, are you saying that was a trade that was on the table, Adam?
I'm just saying it was something that I had heard. Yeah.
I think Caruso would have been a great, but it depends on what version of Kobe White. I think too.
Does he become this? Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. So, but also any version of Kobe White, I think beats November, December Jamal Murray for the most part. So like,
for all the talk about, the bench and the young guys and stuff, if Jamal Murray was just better and more reliable, the Nuggets are probably the 2 seed right now.
Yeah.
I'm super interested to see who has a good game tomorrow because I think y'all have talked about this today, but I just wonder like how many step back jumpers does Michael Porter get up tomorrow? How many? the other 2 that I was really thinking, how long until Jalen Pickett calls for a pick and roll and does like a look away wrap around pass that we have never seen him attempt before,
or goes like, to booty ball, like he's like, everyone clear out, I'm gonna back my guy down.
Or Peyton Watson calls for a screen and like tries a behind the back pass on a drive, something. I just think some of these guys are going to do something. We'll see who the Malone guys were. We're
down so bad here. Look at Harrison. We have Harrison Barnes and me at the moment. This is a new level of.
My brother's a Spurs fan. He swears that Harrison Barnes is like he's a guy now.
He is. You know what? Harrison Barnes is actually a good player. He's solid. He's solid. Andrew, we're gonna keep it moving. Actually, I don't see anybody else whose camera's on, so I got to look. Like I'll bring somebody else on, but you got to turn the camera on to make sure I I don't want to flip it to somebody in their butt naked or something. I will say, so I'm gonna hop. You have anything other questions, Andrew, before we hop you off?
I'm good. I appreciate this. This is awesome. I really
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
you guys' time.
Awesome. We do have this question from Wexy, and it's kind of hilarious. I don't know if you saw this. He says, I have a question but can't hop on video. In Puerto Rico time, and my girlfriend is in bed sleeping next to me, which would have been hilarious. Sure, buddy. Yeah, we believe you, dude. Totally. He says, if you were ownership, what would a GM have to say? What game plan would make you pull the trigger and say, that is my guy? Question for both of us. So what? Yeah, that's a good one.
So I think if I was a GM doing an interview with Josh Kroenke, the first thing I would say is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Nikola Jokic has never played with an all-star. And I would say my first goal is to get him another all-star.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've always been of the side of like, yes, I know he's never played with an all-star, but this team is better. Some of these guys are all-stars in their roles next to Jokic. You know, Jamal Murray can be an all-star. Aaron Gordon can be an all-star caliber player. After this season, though, I would be on board with, all right, we just have to get a more consistent number two in here who can give you it every single night and take some of the pressure off Jokic. So if I was a GM trying to get this job, that's what I would say. And I got to feel like something like that would resonate with the ownership.
That part, and then to me, more interest in the offense. I think Jokic is a super processor, and you can get by on simplicity. But I think building in more just flare action and off-ball action and just more dummy action to set up what you're doing. Just saying, hey, we can get so creative. We have a Picasso, and we're giving him a box of crayons. Like, no, let's give this guy a full suite of paint, and let's make that work. So I think that's part of it. We got Max ready to go. Max, you mute yourself. There you are. What's going on, brother?
Hey, guys. Fun to be on with you.
Yeah, excited to have you, man. So how are you processing this?
I'm shocked, just like everyone else. Woke up to the news and I was sad. My first reaction was feeling sad, and I've been feeling like it was a long time coming. So I was shocked, but also not shocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, Malone has always struck me as a guy, just a really high quality guy who always treats the media people well, seems to treat people around the organization well, always give really thoughtful answers. And I don't know, he, I know there's some talk about him having too much of an ego to work with Booth and kind of play the role that he needed to, but he always struck me as a guy who, was willing to put his ego aside for, the better of the team in certain spots. So I don't know, it's complicated. But the question I wanted to ask you guys, well, if you had a comment on that.
I mean, I don't know if that's the full picture, but I will say he's phenomenal with media. He's always been great to me. He's an interesting guy. I think he's a great coach. I think a lot of what you said is absolutely true. So, I mean, some parts of it, I think maybe not as much, but enough there for me to appreciate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The question I have is, one of the big debates that I feel like the fan base is always having is, like, who is Jamal Murray? Like, what is the issue? Is it that his knee is swelling up too much to stay in shape? Is it that, he doesn't enjoy playing? He doesn't like the sport, or he's already gotten the max contract, and so, he doesn't have any motivation anymore. What voices were in his ear in the organization, pushing him to get in better shape? It's all been, from the outside kind of opaque. So I'm just curious if you have any light to shed on, what conversations there have been, or, what your optimism is that he can ever, get back to the level that he needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think, every Jamal Murray season kind of starts the same, and that's kind of where the conversation begins. I think, in years past, he hasn't, taken his off seasons as seriously as he should. He hasn't come into shape ready to go. I mean, you look at how he starts the season compared to Nikola Jokic, and it's just kind of night and day. And, with Jamal, it was always like, okay, we know you're going to be, up and down during the season. You're going to be hot and cold. You might start the season a little slow, but we know you'll be there in the playoffs. We know you were there in the bubble, then the finals. And then when he doesn't get there, you're like, all right, you start to question everything that happened during the season. But I just think he's somebody that's got to take, his body, his conditioning, staying in shape, just that aspect of it a lot more seriously. And like to be the number 2 next to Jokic, I feel like you should take pride in that. Like you should want to do that for Nikola Jokic and to win a championship. But it's just never really clicked. And the little injuries and, the stuff just adds up with him over time. And I've got to think it's definitely frustrating for somebody like Jokic, who's available every game, plays 38 minutes every night, is just saddled with, one of the biggest burdens in the NBA, and his co-star just like isn't there a lot of the time. So I really feel like the switch could flip for Jamal at some point. I really think it could. Maybe a different coach gets in his ear. I think Michael Malone really kind of let Jamal Murray be Jamal Murray, if that makes sense. Let him play when he wants to play, that kind of thing. And so I feel like he had a lot of leeway there. Maybe a different coach has a different approach. But I feel like he's just got to kind of flip the switch and take it more seriously.
I know somebody who I think might have an interesting perspective on this, and he is right here, right now. Oh my goodness, the man
That's
himself, right. D-Line Co.
Listen, man, I'm ashamed of myself, frankly. Like, I know how important days like this are for the fan base. I should have been here earlier. This is a therapy session. Listen, I didn't have my stuff, and I had to kill some Mongolians on the PlayStation 5. So
there you go. Some Mongolians.
I had to get it out, man. It was the Ghost of Tsushima. Anyway, Jamal Murray is so confusing to me. Also, there's nobody that's more blessed. I mean, I just feel like everybody knows this guy in their life, like a guy that is just so supremely blessed, but won't work to get to that extra place. I just feel like something inside of him doesn't have that drive to be great, which is a bummer because he has what it takes to be great. I think it's a little unfair to criticize him too much coming into this season because he was rehabbing his knee, so it's hard to imagine him like working, whatever. I mean, or I should say last season. It's just like, so there, you can look at it. Sometimes there's some reasons why maybe he hasn't worked as hard, but I've heard these reports for years that people inside the organization were frustrated with his work ethic. And you said it, Wynn, like you would think just the very idea that you could be paired alongside Nikola Jokic, like that you could be Scottie Pippen for all of eternity would be enough for
Kobe and Shaq was on the table. And in some ways it maybe still is, but it was on the table to be this generation's Kobe and Shaq. That's more iconic than Jordan and Pippen is really Jordan, mostly Jordan Pippen. Kobe and Shaq is Kobe and Shaq, and it was right there.
Yeah, and listen, it's funny because we're eulogizing the team. It's not over. Like,
it still is. Sorry, excuse me. Still is.
Nothing is over. But it's confusing, and I think it put Malone in a bad place because he really likes Jamal Murray, and it seemed like maybe he was sort of coddling him a little bit, allowing this behavior in a sense, even though he is a hard ass. It's like a weird thing to try and to square, but I don't know, man. The Jamal thing is so strange because I love the guy, and when he's on, like, there's nothing.
We all love him when he's on, man.
I know,
best man.
He's as close to Steph Curry at times when he's at his very peak than anybody else that I can think of. I mean,
he's almost doper in an old school way because he has like these moves. His moves are kind of like Steph is a shooter and handle and stuff, but his footwork and stuff when he's cooking guys sometimes is like, oh, that was perfect. That was like slow that down in slow mo. That was perfect. So, yeah. Max, we got to keep it moving, though, brother, just because I see a line, and I know everybody here we're going to be live for like an hour and a half if we keep going at this pace. So we appreciate you, brother.
What else do we have to do? Who cares? There is no tomorrow. What do we do?
D-line, we got to keep it moving, man.
We got to keep it moving. D-line, come on. Dude. We got to keep it moving, man. I've been live on the internet for 9 hours today.
I know. Every time that I log in, I'm like, fuck, Adam's doing another. Okay, I got to do my part here. I got to lift my.
We've got Fernando coming on. Fernando, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
What's up, man?
Thanks for being patient, man. You were on right away. You've been waiting. So you got to have a take for us. What is it you're thinking about?
It's just a sad day. Sad that it all kind of hit this way. I didn't think this is how it was going to end.
Nope.
Just missing when the Nuggets were fun, that scrappy team that was coming together, and every night was just, you never knew what you were going to get, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
Now it's like we know what we're going to get, and it just kills us at the end every time.
Uncertainty. It really is uncertainty that we're feeling in a way we haven't before. Like there's been uncertainty about players and are they going to win or this or that, but now it's like, who are we? Like Michael Malone being gone, the question feels more like who are we than we've ever had before, and I think that's what the fan base feels
Totally
at their core. Yeah. So do you have a question? Do you have something that you feel has been unanswered so far?
How do we get back to finding that joy again with this team, these players? I don't know where it fell off. They were so connected and playing for each other, and I don't know what went wrong because we always had the same starting five. I know we swapped out KCP, but Brown was part of that championship team. He knows what to do in these situations. So I'm wondering, how do we get back to those good vibes again?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. It's a great question.
I think I know the answer. They start winning. You start winning.
That's the easiest. That's the easiest route. That's not it. But I do
but the
think
thing is, man, they were the 2 seed.
Like
a
the
month ago?
vibes were not great. Yeah, you're right.
Adam, they were like the 2 seed before we left for Chicago. And
I know.
Like we went to Chicago and really we woke up in an alternate reality. They haven't won a game since.
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah, it's true. You're right. They literally have not won a game since.
No,
but I don't think the vibes were good then. There was this uneasiness of obviously this is more uneasy. But I think your question, Fernando, is spot on. Because I think, and even in talking to people around the league, including coaches and front office people, the one thing that's the funniest thing they tell me is, you guys are spot on about the vibes. Like, I know it sounds like the dumbest thing, but it really is true that when the team doesn't feel good about itself, all the other things feel like margins, not the thing. And when the vibes are good, all the other things are like, oh, we can achieve this. Like, we can get it because the vibes are up. And I think it is the unspoken catastrophe of the Nuggets over this last little bit is that the vibes are gone and no one seems to know how to fix them.
Yeah, I think you were saying this, Adam, maybe a couple weeks ago, but you had heard or somebody had told you that, like, when the Nuggets win, the vibe of the locker room is just like nothing happened, but when they lose, it's the end of the world.
I had heard this, honestly. I had heard this from a player. That it was like when we win, it feels like we're neutral, and when we lose, it feels bad.
Yeah. So, how do they get them back? I think a coaching change can start bringing them back. Absolutely. I do think a reason why they weren't there right now is just because Michael Malone, his message wasn't hitting with the team. He had lost the team, and those guys weren't playing hard for him. They weren't buying into what he was selling, and it's tough to have joy when that's the starting point. So, new leadership, definitely. I think new leadership, new energy. I think that can start kind of rediscovering guys' love for the game again. But there's definitely got to be more steps after that. But I think that can be a start.
D-line, this is your lane.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's the thing Adam, I hope when you are told again that we are able to accurately pick up on the vibes, it's because we built a company based on vibes. We are vibesmen. We understand the importance of vibes. Listen, at a certain point, that's all that really matters in this life. It's just you being in tune with what's going on. It's not hard to understand. It's not hard to pick up if all you do is pay attention. And here's what I know about vibes also. As I am at ALLCITY, I am the co-VO. I am the co-vibes officer along with RK Ryan Koningsberg. And here's what I know is that vibes are important, but they're also movable. Like, you can improve vibes pretty easily. And it comes with listening to people, showing respect, being receptive. It's just, if you are open, like, that's how that happens. And the players that feel like they are disrespected currently and feel like they are not given the right opportunities and this and that and the other, you start working with another coach like David Adelman, who maybe sees you differently, and there is a way to sort of revive what players are doing. It's just they play basketball is so much more soulful than people give it credit. It's really more. I mean, there's a lot about X's and O's. There's a lot about athleticism, but you just have to feel good to be able to perform tasks like that because it requires your full attention. And if your mind is off, then so are your, minor movements. So I just think that it's not going to be that difficult. And it's you can rally around Nikola Jokic. He can be your war general. He can take you to the places you want to go. I get the sense just in general, it just wasn't fun anymore for a lot of people. And I think that they want to rediscover their joy. And you can have a pizza party at work, and it might it could be as simple as that sometimes to just sort of get things going again. To me, all that to say, I don't think this is a lost cause at all. I just think it's sad because it is by definition the end of an era. And somebody that we've all felt so close to and thankful towards. And myself personally, I just feel like a kinship with him, even though I've never spoken to the man. I just really appreciate what he has brought to the Denver Nuggets and to Denver in general. Nobody else has really dug in and been hey, Lakers, fuck you.
Totally.
Hey, Boston, why don't you get fucked? Get the fuck out of here.
He told us that was possible. In a way that meant something. He told us no, you guys, the Nuggets can beat the Lakers. Why not? F them.
Fuck
and it was
them.
yeah, that's right.
Totally. And it changed everything. And that was a vibe change. And they're now at a point where they don't need rah-rah. Now they need tactics. Now they need strategy. And it's I think that's what David Adelman's going to bring. So I don't think it's unthinkable at all for the vibes to change.
Tomorrow's going to be the most interesting game, not just of the year, but maybe of the last two. It might be the most interesting game of the last 2 years. Fernando, we appreciate you hopping on, man. Are you in the chat ever on the live show?
Sometimes I watch. I usually end up more on Locked On, and I catch.
All right. Well, we're moving right on there. Get us out of here. We love our buddies at Locked On, but you can't come on our show. You come on our show and you say that.
Yeah. You were right to do it.
I mean, I had to do it. I regret ever inviting him on. Let's go
3
down
minutes
to
away from the end of the show. You're just Kroenke-esque today.
Yeah, unceremoniously fired, Fernando. Josh, what's happened to us, brother? Hey, he's rocking a Rockies hat, man. That's a true diehard right here.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's a bad day all around, I guess.
I don't know what happened with Rockies.
Wait,
but
did the Avs win? Did the Avs
They did,
win?
yeah. Shootout.
Okay.
And dude, Zach Veen got his first major league hit. Josh, come on, are we
They did
really
on a
excited
bunt,
about
yeah. I mean, that's at this point, that's what you can look forward to with the Rockies.
that? Yeah.
Oh, look, we got Locked On in the chat. Our homies he said hi.
Lock them.
Locked On's going to clip that and promote it, man.
There you go, man. That was too funny. So Josh, what are you feeling, man? Give us the emotions.
I mean, it's sad, obviously, because Malone was here so long, and he's the best head coach, in the franchise history, and one of the best head coaches in Denver history. I think now it's kind of almost like when you're driving past a car accident, you're kind of curious to see what's going to happen. I think heading into the playoffs, I don't know. I think I'm kind of excited, just kind of curious to see, is it going to be horrible, bad? What's it going to look like?
Bro, we went from smugget energy to morbid curiosity about our team.
Yeah. That's this season's still interesting in the way a car wreck is, where you're just wondering, is there bodies? Is there
Wow. I mean, I am definitely more excited for the playoffs right now than I was 12 hours ago.
I am too, strangely.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, my vibes were the lowest of everybody. Not even my vibes, because I was weirdly content with it. But my opinion was the ceiling of this team is not very high. And now you look at it and go, it's a mystery box.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be anything.
The vibes could be lower.
Yeah.
It could be way lower. It's a mystery box. You know how much we want to open that.
Dude, what happened to us? We used to be so goddamn beautiful. A week and a half ago, we were strutting around. Now look at us.
Yeah,
We're on an 11:40 therapy session.
So bad.
So I guess I had a question for all of you guys.
Okay.
So moving forward, because I heard you talking on the show today, kind of a new GM coming in, possibly getting that new GM syndrome, like the new owner syndrome. If you three were the GMs, would you more make like small moves around the margins, or would you be willing to kind of make a big shakeup? And what's kind of that big shakeup you're thinking of, like, not knowing who's going to be available or not, but like in your dream scenario, what would be that big shakeup if that's the way to go?
Wind, I'm curious here. Here, I'll let you go first here.
I definitely think they need a significant shakeup. And I mean, I'd look to move Michael Porter. I think that's the most obvious move, and also one that's probably more doable than moving Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the playoffs? Who knows? But I just think moving Michael Porter for a guy who can, give you some of his shooting, but more defense in that spot, and maybe moving him for a couple of players is the most logical move out there. And it's like the type of move we talked about at the deadline a lot. For a package like Atlanta had, the Hunter Bogdanovich type deal.
Oh, that was my dream.
Trading that for, a couple of guys that can together maybe give you, some of what Michael Porter does and more. That's probably the route I'd go.
What about you, D-Line? Blow it up?
What's that?
What would you do? Big swing?
I mean, I think that their defense is untenable at this point. Like, they have to get defensively focused on the starting lineup. That DeAndre Hunter, to me, was the perfect fit for that. He would give you probably as many 3-pointers in a functional sense as Michael Porter is giving you, but also it could be a defensive presence, like another Peyton Watson kind of, maybe weak side, maybe not as effective as Peyton Watson, maybe more. I don't know. I've not watched him that closely, but to me, like, that is the archetype player that you really want to get in. You want to get, because, like, I don't know. The other thing that I can't shake, and I'll never be able to shake for the rest of my life, maybe I will after this playoffs, is just, I keep saying this, like, we just have not gotten this team together the entire year. We just have never gotten them together. Like, I don't think that's like something that you can look past. Like, to me, like, so Jamal Murray's been out for 5 games and we've lost 4 games, and they could have you can't tell me that it wouldn't have made a difference for Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic to be playing together at the end of that Wolves game where they're going down the stretch and they have the most, reliable 2-man game going down the stretch. They're the most clutch pair that has played together for a long time. Anyway, it irks me that we didn't get like a full swing with this team again, and they pulled the plug before we even got that opportunity. I mean, like, they flame out in the playoffs and you fire Malone and they didn't get it done. Like, that's one thing, but to me, it almost feels like as unfair as when he got fired for Boogie Cousins being sick.
Hey, this league ain't fair, man. That's the truth of it. It's the harsh truth of it. Is it's just not fair.
No,
I get the perspective. Denver, to me, I just think I'm less surprised, I think, than you are about how this season has gone, and I'm less surprised that things are ending up where they are. And so the shock value to me is the timing still is weird, but I'm not there. But Josh,
I mean, as far as the coaches, I'm just shocked by the health. And that's not something no one could predict.
Yeah, I mean, it is true, although you were having Jokic and Murray both coming off an Olympics, so you kind of, that was always a factor that could play a part in this.
Aaron Gordon was out half the year, and then he comes back, Jamal goes out. It's like it's just been like ships in the night all season long.
Josh, real quick though, just give us a prediction, man. You have to be an optimist with the Rockies hat on, so I assume you're going to pick us all up here.
Prediction for the rest of the season, or what were you asking?
Yeah, like how's this going to go? Yeah, not in life, just the season.
Are we going to survive?
I'll say if Jamal Murray's not back, it's probably going to go very badly, and they probably lose in 5.
I think he's back. Back, but I do think that this will be a lingering thing that,
If he's back, I do think they can get out of the first round. And I'd probably predict that, depending on the opponent, obviously. But I'd probably say, if I'm giving odds, I'd say it's more likely that they get out of the first round, and then they probably just lose in 4 or 5 in the second round.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our optimist, Josh.
Yeah. Hold on.
And then we die a slow death.
Hey,
Being
go
a Rockies
Rockies,
fan-
brother. Go
Yeah.
Rockies, man.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for hopping on, man. Thanks for hopping on. This is fun, man. It's kind of cool talking to the homies.
I know, dude. We need to. We should make this like a show. Like a
Yeah, we
bit.
should. We are bringing on Boley. Our guy Boley is in the chat now.
Hell yeah.
What's up?
Boley.
guys?
Boley, what's
What's up,
that? That's
man?
such a good name, Boley. I'm in.
Hell yeah.
Yo, what's up? This is great to be on with you guys.
So it's great to be on with you, man. So you've heard all the questions and stuff. What is there something that's unresolved? Like you have to have something somebody hasn't asked yet.
I mean, I'm more thinking like your guys' dream scenario for a coach next year. Like if you could think of any, like if Steve Kerr were to like walk away, or like Spoelstra left, or like maybe they were like, you know what, let's do this crazy thing where we make Jokic the head coach player, like the first head coach player in like 50 years. Like what would your guys' like choice be?
It's,
Go for it, Adam.
Sorry.
Gesundheit.
Oh man, I didn't even mute myself.
No, you went the opposite. You muted before you did it. And you unmuted.
To me, it's probably somebody we don't know, and this is what sucks about it. Is the right guy is probably. I mean, I'd say this. Brad Stevens. Can you go to the Celtics and be like, hey, Brad, I know you're comfortable there and you have a good team, but it's Jokic. Like you'll be remembered 100 years from now, like Phil Jackson is if you come out. So maybe it's somebody like that. Obviously, Eric Spoelstra I would take. I just don't think either of those are realistic. Which realistic are the guys we all know, the So the Vogels, maybe the Budenholzers. And then short of that, you're looking at So I mean, it's like one of those names, and I don't know that you're going to a first-time coach with Jokic's prime in the balance. So unfortunately, I don't have the name for you that I think is nice and easy.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Coaches should be lining up for this job, though, man. This is a dream job. Granted, you might not get paid as much as you would by other teams. You know, just throwing that out there probably. But you get the chance to coach Nikola Jokic. Like, that is a coach's dream. Like, best player in the world, future top 10 player who's going to be available for every game and not complain about anything.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Here's one thing I'll tell you.
Coaches should be lining up.
So here's the thing I would tell you. Let's say it's David Adelman because he has institutional knowledge of the team. The team players seem to like him. I think he's very well respected and liked, and I think he's smart. What did the Lakers do when they added JJ Redick? They gave him Nate McMillan, obviously a very proven coach, and Scott Brooks. They gave him two very established high-level assistants and said, that's your team. And to me, if it's Adelman, that could work. Give him Nate McMillan, give him in this instance Mike Brown and some of these other established guys who maybe aren't the head coach, but give him a very good support. Like, go all in on your support staff. The Kroenkes have never done that though. Even if they spend on a coach, they're not going to spend on the margins there. I always make the joke 5 years ago, the players were walking outside to scrape snow off of their windshields after the games because they didn't have a parking garage for the players. So these guys making $40 million a year are out there in their coats, like scraping the windshields. And you're like, wow, they're just like us.
I know. It's also that it's like the combination of a new coach and a new GM. You're sort of like, where's the money going to go? What's the focus going to be? Like, there's just, I don't know, like unanswered and unknowable questions, I guess, at this point.
I do think there's a chance David Adelman will be a great head coach.
I agree.
I think he's an offensive genius. He has the respect of the best players on this team. His dad was a legendary head coach. He's got, the through lines there. He's been around the game forever. It's not a sexy hire, but I think that's a possibility that he is a great head coach.
So I have a hard time seeing it, frankly, because of the way that the NBA is, the way the NBA is run. Like, I have a hard time imagining him being a guy that can keep millionaire 20-year-olds in like that side of the job. I have a hard time imagining him. And perhaps you're saying you can supplant that with strong-armed assistant coaches that maybe can take the lead on, delivering hard messages and, being the disciplinarian or whatever it is that is required of sort of like all the things that Michael Malone is. It seems like David Adelman is the exact opposite, for better or worse.
And that's why I think that they will hire a guy that's very opposite of Michael Malone.
Good.
Like Taylor Jenkins, I think, is too close to Michael Malone to be somebody they go with. Like I think they'll go opposite.
I mean, he's a Malone guy, and that Malone hired him, but I don't think that this is an issue. Somebody in the chat says, I'd be shocked if they go with Adelman. He's a Malone guy. I don't think that's the case in this example. I think Adelman could be great. I do understand your perspective here, D-Line, but you just said the Nuggets might be in a stage right now where it's less important, those things, and more important that you just have a strategic genius. And it's like, give us the plan that we can all believe in. We'll manage ourselves.
See, and I agree with that, except for that this team is full of young players.
This is maybe a two-pronged approach, though, right? This might be, and here to answer your question, Bully, the coaching part of this, it's funny that people are going that route. I get it. It's more in your face. If I was the Kroenkes right now, I would be looking around and I would just say, Giannis is not long for Milwaukee. Somebody has to get him. We need to get a negotiator in here that if it's not Giannis, it's somebody. But Jokic has never played with an all-star. He doesn't look like there's one that's growing in the wings right now at Denver. I would be somebody that says, we're going all in on a blitz for the next big name, and we got to find there's GMs that are just good at this. Find the weaknesses in other teams, and let's start applying the pressure the way that we can try to benefit from this. And let's go all in on Giannis. Let's go all in on the next disgruntled stars, and let's try to give Jokic just one other guy, because maybe that's actually all it really took was one other guy that can spell the team for 10 minutes when Jokic rests.
Yeah.
Well, Bully,
I think if you look for somebody with that approach, it might be from the agent world.
It really might be. That's the new method. Do you have any final thoughts, Bully?
Oh God. So Bob Myers, this is a joke, right? When people are bringing up Bob Myers potentially being the GM, that seems insane, right?
He's the only GM candidate people know.
That's it. That's true. That's it. Yeah. He's the only GM candidate on TV or in media.
Right. That's exactly.
It's like him or Daryl Morey. Those are the only two GMs anybody knows.
Not Daryl Morey. Oh my God,
I'm not suggesting Daryl Morey. I'm just saying.
You just said it. You just said it.
I mean, the fact that people still bring up Mike D'Antoni, that they're
all the time.
He's like 80 years old, dude.
You know who they should get is Jeff Schwartz. He already runs the team. He's happy, let's just go get him.
Yeah.
It's like,
he represents everybody on the team.
All right, Bully, good stuff, man. Thank you so much, brother.
You guys.
We got our guy from Israel, I believe, Saeed. What's up, brother?
Adam, how you doing?
It's good to see you, man.
What's up,
Long
man?
time no see.
I know, man. It's crazy. It's for me. It's the opposite for you guys because I heard the news at night. So good luck going to sleep.
You've already slept on it.
Yeah.
Not really, but
not really.
I mean, I was just putting my earbuds, going to sleep, listening. Well, I listened to you guys first, and then I was listening to Locked On Nuggets.
Just want to get booted.
That's how I went to sleep. Yeah, it's just crazy timing. I mean, I don't know what the vision now is. Well, we didn't know before, but right now it's like, what is the vision? The Kroenke say that they're hopeful for the playoffs, like they were hoping that it's going to be a better outcome. Like, what is the outcome that you were expecting? Even like comparing to having Malone, the craziest thought, and I probably have it in all my comments on Twitter, is Coach Malone got to coach one playoff. Oh, locked in, yes. I fell asleep halfway through. Don't get mad at me, Matt, and whoever wrote that. I fell asleep. I need to go back and rewatch it. But my craziest thought is Michael Malone only got to coach one playoff run after the championship. I mean, whoever predicted that? Nobody.
I know, man. I know.
That's like the craziest thought. I don't know.
There's something beautiful in it, though. Here's what's beautiful about it, and we're on the other side of it. It's so hard to win a title. And it felt like, we know we had the dynasty talk and everything else, but it also just shows you how precarious it is. So when it happens, you're like, man, that was special. It was so special that they were able to take care of the moment in time. And
it's an extra special for us.
Yeah.
It's for the Nuggets, an extra special, yeah.
Yeah. And it'll make the next one all the more enjoyable, I think, if we get it.
Yeah. I'm on that team that Booth needed to go, but Malone deserved at least that playoff run. I'm on that team. Regardless, yes, there are some shortcomings from Malone. I agree, but I still think he should have at least earned the right to coach 2 playoffs run after the championship.
I was thinking about this. I wonder if Malone wasn't necessarily always going to be fired, but like maybe the conversation with Josh didn't end well. Like maybe he told him he was going to be gone after this season, and he was like, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm out now." Like,
put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
That would be a hell of a turn, wouldn't it? If that's what comes out in the coming days, is like actually Malone was trying to get fired.
Wow. Yeah. And that I also came to my mind the second. I'm bad with names, but when Sacramento fired their coach on the way to the airport, what was it? Coach, Mike Brown. I think. And Malone took the podium to now just rip the Sacramento Kings for various reasons, but it's crazy that now he's on that side too.
I wonder on that side already with them.
Do you have news how he received the how Malone received the
It was in a
news?
meeting. I heard it was a meeting called into the office, and
it was a meeting this morning. Yeah.
Okay, so at least they respected the.
I mean, when you get that call, though, you know what's up.
Hey, could you come into the office a little early today and bring your ID into the building? Just bring your keys because
yeah, like
can you bring the ice scraper we gave you like 5 years ago?
Yeah, like
we got to put that back in inventory.
Yeah, like when you're in management and then the big boss just arrives from corporate after like a long period of time of not talking to you, and it's like, hey, yeah,
I'm gonna need you to clear out your afternoon, okay? Like, what? Why? I have meetings.
Or they set up a Zoom call with him and HR.
It would be funny if they asked Booth to call him for the meeting.
Oh God! And then they fired him both. Like, yeah, like that scene in is it The Dark Knight where the Joker's stealing it? And they just keep shooting the guys till the last one standing.
You know what though? Like, if I owned a team, I would like every now and again do something like that. Just just to keep it like
keep them on their toes, baby. Keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
No,
his own grave.
But Saeed, we've talked, man. You're an optimistic guy. I think you have a positive outlook on a lot of things. So give us the positive spin because they still have Jokic. What a story it would be!
It is.
What a story it would be.
I am a positive guy, and I do remember I have flashbacks of the firing of George Karl because you couldn't, as a Nuggets fan, you couldn't be picturing the Nuggets without George Karl. Right now, it's hard to picture the Nuggets without Michael Malone. Booth, I didn't have that much connection. I couldn't picture him without Tim Conley, but Booth, I mean, he was kind of, here and there. But for 2025, this playoff run, I hope we're not out in the first round. Just for Jokic legacy, but they shouldn't be. So I need to see the last 3 games, how they approach it.
All right, let me ask it this way then, Side, because I was trying to get us out of here on positivity, and I teed you up, and it's foul ball, but you got another one here. So if they come out tomorrow night and have a statement win, one of the best games, because right now Sacramento is playing hot. That's in their building. They've been a tough matchup for Denver. If they play well and close out the year playing well, is there any world you can talk yourself into saying, like, you know what? Stranger things have happened in sports.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. I mean, when you have Jokic and Morey might, come back healthy for the playoffs, which, flashback of 2023, of course, anything is possible. We still have the core 4. So if we get somebody that can unite the team again and just put that spirit back fighting for something, I think it's possible.
No,
Why not?
That's not exactly ready to run through a wall on that speech you just gave, Said. But I know what I'll do it.
I feel good. Listen,
Adam, you're running through me now.
Listen, we talked about this on the show a couple of days ago. Like, what needs to happen for the Nuggets to kind of, flip the switch. It's a stupid metaphor, but whatever. And I really feel like at this point now, knowing what's happened. I don't think David Adelman's a guy that's going to stand up and make a huge rah-rah type of speech and really inspire the guys.
I don't think
it's got to come. It's got to. They don't. It's got to come from them.
Yep.
It's got to come from the players. That's the only way this thing changes. It's if they decide, is this how we want this version of us to end?
And by the way, I will say that I have heard a little anecdote right before the very end of the show. So we appreciate you. Is there anything else before I give this last anecdote?
Oh yeah, just one question. You can answer it maybe next show. What is the one move the next head coach needs to do, or the next GM needs to do in order to improve? It could be for another show. Thank you for having me, guys. And
hey, we appreciate you, man. You're a real
Thanks,
one, man.
man.
You're an OG, man. We appreciate you. I'll share this anecdote that I heard as our last thing here, and you guys can comment on it if you want. I did hear that Jokic addressed the team today, very briefly, but that there was a get together. The entire team is there, and that there was a hey, everybody in. And I don't know that it was necessarily a deep speech outside of just the like, guys, this has nothing to do with us, or like this is something we can't control. This is something that happened. Like, but the season's not over. Like, let's not treat this as an end. Like, let's keep going. So I'm told that Jokic addressed the team in some capacity with that message. And, what else can you do when you're in that position but say, all we can do is focus on the goal ahead, and that's Sacramento, and let's see what happens.
And here's what I'll say is that, what is different about the team that won 9 in a row coming out of the All-Star break, had us all believing that they were really going to be making moves and going far in the playoffs. And it's Michael Malone is what's gone. And the question is, was Michael Malone responsible for that version of the team at that time? Like, I think what Michael Malone did was build the culture that now the team can feed off of and still exists. Maybe moving, just kind of removing perhaps just a bad mood, a bad vibe from a room can lift the spirits and can help the Nuggets play better. But we didn't lose any players, and like, we have good players. They're just not on the same page right now. And a lot of it, I think, as Adam has been talking about before the season even started, originates outside of the lines and outside of the locker room and has nothing to do with them. But the team itself is still largely the team that won a title 2 years ago. There's a lot of new players. There's a lot of youth and a lot of new energy, but that should add to the equation. That should invigorate maybe some of the older players. Like, to me, there's absolutely no reason to not believe. There's really not a disruption happening here. It is the same coaching core outside of the head coach. But so I don't really see a reason why this still can't work if the players still believe in it and believe in Nikola Jokic, which, tell me there's nothing easier in life to do.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem though, D-Line. I feel like the players, they tuned out Michael Malone, but they also like stopped believing in each other. And even Jokic too. I mean, I remember I tweeted way back in December. It was after that Cavs game where AG called the huddle and nobody came. I think it was even on Christmas, but I tweeted that like I had never seen Nikola Jokic more frustrated visibly. Like he had never let his emotions on the court show more than he was this season. And that has just kind of permeated throughout the entire roster. Everybody's been frustrated. Nobody's been connected. Nobody's been together. It seems like they don't like playing with each other, at different points in this season. We still had those high moments, but they were few and far between. So maybe this is the reset they need, Maybe this is a reset. Yoke has a couple inspiring words and they kind of come together and have this real foxhole mentality, not to steal a line from Michael Malone, but they really come together and just forget all the bullshit that just happened and start with a clean slate. That's something I think you can maybe believe in. I'm
reminded of, in some ways, of Prince Eugene of Savoy, who defeated the Ottomans. You guys all remember?
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I was going to say that, but I was waiting for you to say it.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people in the chat are recognizes when the Ottomans were invading Europe, and it was the Austro-Hungarians that held them off in that famous battle we all recall, and it really turned the tide. You guys don't remember this story? This was the giant painting we saw in
Who said we didn't
in
remember the story?
Sophomore, right? That's their backs were
Obviously.
against the wall. Nobody thought they could do it, but it was a turning point in the greater Ottoman invasion of Europe. And
Sure.
like that, our Denver Nuggets can find a little resiliency with their backs against the wall and make history here. All right, that does it. You guys, any other thoughts? It's midnight. I think we should probably go to bed.
No, one quick last thought, sorry, is just that, again, I just think that this is so important. Like, this is, I love that everybody is watching, that everybody is like going through this together. This is a funeral of sorts. Like, yes, they didn't. They all died though.
Well,
this
in
is
glory. In glory.
we
though.
we are rightfully, as a fan base, in mourning because our leader, our spiritual leader, has been taken from us. It doesn't mean that everything's over. And I'm telling you, Nikola Jokic, when he gets into that place, becomes a general on the floor, like a true general. That not so different from Prince. The name just escaped. The painting guy, and he can lead this team, like he really can. So I don't know. Like the longer I sit with it, the more I'm like, Michael Malone wasn't making those buckets. Like, we can still do this.
Yeah, he wasn't making any buckets. We do have some super chats I forgot we should get to. Ben C says, does any of this drama explain the AG vibes this year, or is that all injury related? Injury and also tragedy related, I think, for him.
Yeah.
Personal reasons. But I will say that I do think he was one of the players that I think was frustrated a little bit with, the direction. So I think it was all, and probably came into the season with things he was carrying, and then the season goes bad and it added to it. So I think a little bit there. Jordan Adams says, what's the likelihood we use Jokic? Low. I still think it's low. I think he's a loyal guy. I think he likes to be here. And, we'll worry about that when it comes. I'm not going to sit here and worry about that before. Michael Talley says, after a day of thinking about it, I mostly blame Kroenkes. They couldn't get management and coach on the same page and let toxic situations fester. I agree. I think this thing festered well beyond it needed to.
I mean, we knew about it for the last several years. It's not like they didn't.
I know it's
possible they did. It's possible they did.
Well, that's actually a good point. Yeah.
But under the Kroenke's philosophy, you just allow professionals to be professional and take care of their business. And it's frustrating. Like, this is one of these things you're just very disappointed in the behavior of adults. Both of those two, Michael Malone and Calvin Booth, having a feud that would derail essentially their entire company, if you want to think about it. It's like the two heads of a company fighting in a way that their principles and their way were more important than the company itself, allowing everyone else to suffer. It is beyond childish and embarrassing, and I hope that they both learn from it, frankly.
Yeah. Next on ESPN, Lee Anderson, next on ESPN, how does this affect LeBron's legacy? I'm sure that's how they'll talk about it. Mile High Sing, do you guys think Jokic had any say with the firing of Coach Malone? Also, will Jokic have any say on the hiring of the next head coach GM? Thanks, guys. My hunch is that I think they knew how he felt about this, but maybe did not consult him. And my hunch on the next part is, if you don't ask Jokic what he thinks of a guy, you're insane.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be where the conversation probably starts.
Even if you just wanted to get his opinion, to consult one of the greatest basketball minds that's ever graced your presence.
Dude, I would, if I had any decision in life, I would consult.
Hey, no, dude.
Jokic.
I'm like, Jokic, should I go to work? I should.
Yeah.
Kyle Heckman says, any chance the timing of this is to signal the best GM head coach candidates to hold off joining teams until the season is over? Thanks for all you guys do. I do think this is possible. It makes as much sense as anything. I speculated this earlier that it's possible. This was the Nuggets' way of saying, hey, we have openings. Don't act too quick. We have openings.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said earlier, man, this is the best head coaching job to come around in a while. It really is, man. You don't get the opportunity to coach a guy like Nikola Jokic every day.
You see this Locked On Nuggets comment? Oh my goodness!
I didn't see it
because
I'm on the other chat
for visiting this little show.
Colby Cheeser says, seeing Jokic's agent repost the current odds of Jokic's next team does not sit well with me. It doesn't with me
Oh,
either. But yeah, I saw that.
that. I think it was just kind of a joke, though.
Yeah, I don't.
wouldn't take
I
that
wouldn't read
seriously.
I wouldn't read into it too much.
Yeah, no, it was more he was impressed that his team
Yes.
Right.
The
team that he founded was second. Yeah,
was in the same league as the Los Angeles Lakers.
Big Honey Fernando got done and like Coach Malone had to get him out of here, man. Had to get him out. Justified. Dusty Old Cowtown says Stan on sideline signaled something was brewing. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's
He was
never been on
observing.
the sidelines ever.
Optimism. Oh, this comes from Swatson and Holmes, which I love, by the way. I love that name. I hope we get to actually see that just for the name. Optimism for Adam. I'm only afraid of the Thunder. Anything is possible with Yoke, and the Nugs play best as underdogs. Fraud City is back to win. I love it, man. Hey, would you guys what do you call it when nobody believes in you and everybody's kind of turned against you? Is there a Serbian word for this? If only there was.
I feel like there is. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Is it
Nuggets life?
A little not.
Baby.
A little not, baby.
That's right.
And then the last one. What way to get us out? Dusty Old Cowtown. Hey, love you guys. Nuggets Nation strong. We agree. We love all of you. Thanks for staying up so late. We were live for like 4 hours today, the three of us. So you know what? We did our job today. Let's go to bed. Everybody, thanks so much, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow.